Hi guys, welcome back to Empaths Anonymous podcast. We are recording in person today, so we're in a little bit different of a setting. We're sitting down with our friend Hannah Huante. She is the creator behind How Han Sees It and the host of How I See It pod. Welcome to the podcast, Hannah.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that we get to do it in person too.
I know, it just kind of worked out. The stars aligned.
I love that.
We're in your hood.
I know, and I didn't even have to drive that far. You guys made it easy for
Right?
me.
We're in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so normally we ask what we're drinking, but we don't have drinks today. But what's in your cup, as in, like, how are you showing up today?
I was like, I've had so much coffee today, so it's probably a good thing that we don't have anything. I think it's about to be cocktail hour, honestly, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But honestly, I'm like, I feel like life is good. Like, it's weird. I feel like I'm at a place where I'm getting better at like learning to like sit in the feelings of like there can be like not perfect things going on and great things going on and exciting things going on all at the same time, and I can like I have it in me to like feel all of it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that like things are bad when like I have a bad day, or like that things are like always amazing when I have like a high moment. It's like interesting to find like that middle ground.
Totally. Yeah, there can be room for both.
Yeah.
I think that's just like proof of the journey as well, because I used to be like you were saying, if one little thing would go wrong, everything is shit.
Or like even you guys came to the pod anniversary dinner, and that was such like a high moment, and that week was so stressful, and there was like so many emotional things going on in the background as well, just because like life was lifing. And I was like having this moment where I was like, I am so happy right now, like I am having such a high. How could I be like so upset in the background about something else? And sometimes I just have to like remind myself that it's like not that deep, and that like you can have like high elevated moments and celebrate those moments, and also the next day have a moment where you're like, I'm really fucking sad about this, or like this business thing didn't go through, so I'm bummed about that, and like have room for it all.
Right. Yeah. And finally having that capacity feels really good.
Yeah. And just like learning that, I think reminding yourself that like the human experience is about like ups and downs. And I think sometimes we get caught up in like the low or the high, and we get too attached to both. And like it's okay to just like try to find somewhere in the middle and like let all of the emotions kind of sit with you at the same time, depending on what's happening.
Right. Yeah. When I first started my spiritual journey, I felt like I had to be at 100 all the time. And when I had days where I did feel depressed again or anxious, I'm like, well, I'm doing something wrong. Like, Let me go to a sound bath. Let me do this. Let me do that to get back to that high feeling. And I'm like, you know what? It's always chasing highs then. And then is that really genuine?
Yeah. Or like we're always trying to like do something. And I almost sometimes feel like, and don't get me wrong, like I love doing all the things. Like I love listening to the podcast, doing the workout, going on the walk, doing the affirmations. Like it's all amazing. Like that's really part of like doing the work. But I think sometimes it can be such a like a cop out to not sit in our feelings. And like we distract by doing more. And sometimes like you have to kind of like sit in it. And like I feel like we've become really spoiled in the sense of like we're not supposed to be like feeling bad. Like there's this false narrative around like healing. We're like, I'm not supposed to feel bad. I've done this work. Like
I've already chosen to heal.
Yeah, I've already chosen to heal. And it's like, no, this is life. This is the human experience. Like you have to be able to sit with negative emotion too, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like finding the neutrality of being in that middle space is like emotional and intellectual maturity. Like the more that you grow with it, the more it becomes comfortable, as you always say, being uncomfortable. And so we just love that we can have open-ended conversations about the reality of it all. Like every day is not going to look the same. Every moment's not going to look the same. I could be pissed off 1 hour, and then the next thing I've calmed down because I have allowed myself to feel that. Like we had to rush down here today, and the car ride was a fun one because we just needed to kind of like yell a couple of expletives, and we let it out, and we let the energy out of our bodies, and then we made a decision that it was like, it's okay, it is what it is, and everything will flow for the rest of the day.
Well, I think people still seem to think that like doing the work is like not hard. Like we call it the work for a reason. It's not a cliche. Like it's legitimately really fucking hard. And like one of the hardest things as like being like about being human is that we like have to surrender. And like people just don't like to surrender, of course. Like it's really scary and painful to not know what's going to happen. So I think instead of being able to sit in the uncomfortable, we try to like do all the things or like not feel the high or not feel the low. And like, it's just, I'm trying to work on like, especially me being so like, I love that your guys' podcast is like about being empaths, like being so empathetic and highly sensitive, but also just being so existential. I'm like very existential, and I'm trying to get better at just being like, it's not that deep. Like just go forward. Like you're doing great. Like keep going. You don't have to think this hard about what's happening. I spend too much time thinking.
Yes, for us, it's really hard to not always find like, what's the deeper meaning behind that? Like, what does that mean?
I know.
Like, sometimes it doesn't mean anything, girl. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
As she's saying that, I'm like, it's probably because you're a Pisces. You know what I mean? Like 12th house.
I know nothing about my horoscope. Like really. I mean, I know what I am. I'm a Pisces, and then my like other two are both Leo.
Ooh, okay, that makes sense. I totally thought that you were a Leo. So then when I saw it was your birthday, I'm like, oh no, she's a Pisces.
Yeah. Isn't it like, seriously, I'm so dumb when it comes to like horoscope stuff, but I'm told that like your other two, like the rising and the sun, are like what you present as, but like your actual is like who you are inside. So I feel like that makes sense. Like I present very like confident and like alpha, but inside I'm very like emotional.
Because you're a Pisces. Yeah. Your rising especially is like who people's impression of you, like what they see you as.
Totally.
And then your moon is usually like how you feel inside. And then your sun is like your personality.
Okay. Is my sun my Pisces?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. I just learned something here.
Yeah.
We're always talking about it in the pod. Like we don't go an episode without mentioning one thing, because the astrology is always going to astrologize.
Yeah.
But we, before we came down here, posted that we were going to have a fun conversation with you, and we had a couple people come in and ask questions.
Okay,
We
yay.
love so much. We
I'm
love
nervous.
the communication.
Oh no, they're good. They're
so
good questions.
Okay, cool.
One of them is a more fun one, so we'll say that to the end. But kind of just speaking to your openness with mental health struggles, depression and anxiety, and acknowledging those things that are with you, but that they aren't completely you and they're not your personality. We had a question come in, and they asked, what did you or do you use as reminders to keep going when you did or do have depressive episodes?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they went really deep.
No, I love it. I talk a lot on the podcast about like the process of like removing depression and anxiety from my identity. Because I think a lot of times if you struggle with depression or anxiety, or you've come out like on the other side of it, especially if you've come out on like kind of the other side of the major part of working through that stuff that like keeps you kind of like crippled, you can kind of look back and be like, wow, I was keeping myself in a place of victimhood, or I was perpetuating my own misery. And I think people who are in the thick of it really don't like to hear that. Like it's very triggering to hear the word victim.
Right.
And I'm not saying that like people's feelings aren't valid, their experiences aren't valid, that their childhood, whatever they went through to lead them to a place, you know, that I really was for a very long time isn't valid. I'm more saying that like most of us are adults now, and we have control of our life and what we have to do with it. It may have not started with us, but it's with us now. And so I think like when I talk about like removing it from my identity, like it's definitely like still a part, it's there, but they've become like dormant, almost just passengers in the car that I've chosen not to like give the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And so now I think when I used to be in a place where when some anxiety would pop up or like spurts of like depression would pop up, I would almost start to like spiral on the fact that it was like coming up. Like I would be like, oh my God, it's coming back. And we've talked about this too. Like when you've experienced such like deep depression or suicidal thoughts, it's really scary to even like feel it a little.
Right.
But I've gotten good at just acknowledging first that like it's actually a part of the human experience to be anxious. It's a part of the human experience to like be depressed sometimes. Like it's actually not that deep sometimes. Right. Like I can like feel it for a second and be like, okay, I don't have to spiral that like I'm regressing in my healing journey. Like this is happening in my life. That is anxiety inducing. This is a normal human experience, and I need to keep pushing forward anyway. Right. And I think that like you can look back and remind yourself in those moments of like, what have I overcome? How far I've come. I can look back at moments that I was anxious like the year prior, thinking like, what am I going to do? And then I've like moved so far past it now. It's like the least of my worries. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought that was the end of the world. I mean, it doesn't make it easy, but I think that you know, reminding myself of the things that I've like been through and overcome keeps it at bay a bit, because you're like showing yourself evidence that like you've gone through it. But it's hard. It's really, really hard.
It is, yeah. But I think that even recognizing it is showing that you are further along in your journey.
Yeah.
Because I've had those moments too where I like how you say they're passengers in your car, because I mean, I have OCD in my car, I have depression in my car. And I think that I think the fear of it creeping back is always valid, because I lost so many years of my 20s being depressed.
Totally.
And like, there's just a lot of times I don't even remember. But I get afraid of that, because I'm like, how severe is this about to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is it a day?
Yeah.
Or is it just a passing feeling right now?
Yeah.
Or am I getting sucked back in? Because for a while it felt like that.
Yeah.
But I think what I remind myself of is even having these check-in moments with myself is showing that I'm growing, because the me 5 years ago didn't know how to do that.
Yeah. And I think also those sometimes, like when you're having those moments, it can feel like you're really out of control, which perpetuates like the anxiety of it all in general, or the guilt or the shame around those things coming back in. And I think I'm trying to get better, and I've been doing better at it recently, reminding myself that like when I don't feel in control of myself or others, like choosing to surrender or choosing to remind myself that I can like push forward actually is a form of control. Like I do have a choice in that. And like reminding myself that I'm capable of that has been like really helpful as well. Also like creating a toolbox for yourself. I feel like if you don't have a toolbox, like you've got to create a toolbox. So like it's like a few things that you know like ground you or like get you in a good mood or get you feeling good. Like for me, like what I'm talking about now, like I will physically like start writing out a list of like things I've overcome over the last few years that I thought were like the end of the world, and that like reminder and validation kind of gives me this like, okay, yeah, this isn't that
extra push.
You know, I'm fine. The affirmations were huge for me in my own healing, and it's so cliche, but like it's not. Like I actually in my head, like I can hear my voice to myself like saying affirmations all the time when like a negative thought pops in. It helps a lot. I think like for me and a lot of people, I feel like act like talking to others is like a form of weakness. Like not for me. Like I love calling my best friends and being like, hey, like I'm not feeling good right now. Like, can I just talk to you about how I'm feeling, or just like catch up with you, because I know that like the people around me make me feel good. Like there has to be like activities and things in the toolbox to like get you out of those spirals.
I was gonna say tool bag. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Like a Mary Poppins bag.
Oh, I love
Whatever
that.
works for you. Like it's personalized tools. So if it's calling your best friend, if it's calling mom, any other family member, someone who you know is an active listener and not gonna just kind of spout off advice that you didn't ask for, or preface that with a person saying, hey, I just need you to be this for me right now if you have the capacity, which I've kind of tried to normalize in my relationships as well. Instead of calling someone out of the blue and just like word vomiting, I ask them first. I'm like, hey, I really need to speak with you.
Totally.
Can we meet? Or hey, like, do you have the time for this? Especially because my circle looks a little different now with a couple of my friends being moms. So I do know what that's like. I know what the schedule is like. And a lot of times, like at the end of the day, girl, I just want to hit the pillow.
Yeah.
I can't talk anymore. I've talked to my toddler all day.
Yeah.
I've listened to her all day. So I definitely get that. I love the tool bag aspect of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think sometimes it can feel in these moments that like, it's like dark. I don't mean to make it sound like it's not, like it's this easy thing. It's definitely not easy. But I think that I say remove the charge as a way, because people who struggle with what we're talking about, it is really deep and it is really hard. And I do think there's something about like reminding yourself though that like it doesn't have to be like, I have a choice right now to kind of view this passenger in the car that's trying to lure me back to this dark place as like a child, where I'm like, no, you do not have control over me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to remove the charge from this. Like I'm feeling anxious. Like this happened to me the other day. Like I started feeling like really anxious for no reason. It hasn't happened to me in a really long time, where it just like came from nothing. Cause I feel like I'm really good at now like mastering my mind, I'll say, in the sense of like when anxiety pops up mentally, I'm really good at like putting it down just after years of practice now. But it was like body. like body anxiety.
That's
it's the
hard.
worst. And you're like, where the fuck is this coming from? Like, I'm not even spiraling in my head.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, and I think it's just, I've been so busy lately. There's so much like built up like antsiness that I could like anxiety just like filled my body. And I started to panic like a little, not gonna lie, because when it comes to like mental anxiety, I'm like, I got this.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but then when this popped up, I was like, fuck. But again, I just took a deep breath, like grabbed a tea, and I was just like, no, like you don't have to do this. Like, how can I like work off? I went into like problem solving mode. Like, how can I work off this anxious energy?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna go outside and walk. I'm gonna
Right.
go like get like some steps in, like try to get this off. Like, I go into problem solving mode instead of panic mode, and I think
Yeah.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's a good tip too. I think, to your point, I think that what we're talking about can be triggering to people. And I don't want anyone listening to feel like we haven't been there, because we all have in some way.
And still are sometimes.
And it's still hard sometimes, but I want to encourage people that what we're saying is out of love, and we all will arrive at this place during our journey when we do accept, like, you know what? That was a little bit of victimhood. You know what?
Yeah.
Like, I do have a part in this. I think that's the hardest part.
Oh, it's painful.
So the first time that I went to therapy with a new therapist, I've been going to one for a while. It just wasn't, I didn't really feel like I was getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So I went to a new therapist, and it was it was almost like a motherly figure that was like, she had all of the wisdom, but she almost gave me a little bit of tough love, because it's like there were just things that I was talking in circles and I wasn't being real with myself. And she was like, you know what? We really need to work on, getting out of the victim mindset. And I literally left that therapy session so pissed off.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, how dare she? Like, does she not know all the things I've been through? And I'm like, oh, okay. I get what she's saying.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I think I'm doing it right now.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I say it with love, but like,
Yeah.
I wish more people would have said this when I was going through
Exactly.
it. Like, I don't care if you're angry listening to this. Like, I'm sorry. I'm like doing it for your sake. Like, I don't know you, but like, I wish more people, I wish I would have
Right.
heard this more. Like, I wish someone would have like came to me and been like, you're perpetuating your own misery. I would have been pissed and I probably wouldn't have talked to them, but I wish more people would have tried, because yeah, like when I got to therapy, I was at a point where, oh my God, I was just so down bad. Like, it couldn't get much worse. And so then I like remember like very clearly being at a place where I couldn't deny like my part in like why my life was so disastrous.
Right.
Like, yeah, again, didn't start with me. Like, there were so many things that happened in my childhood, like experiences, my family, like literally like a whole bucket of bullshit that I could have blamed and I was blaming for so long. But, you look at the signs, like every single friend of mine had like left me. Mm-hmm. I had like painted that picture as like everyone is bad.
Right.
But like, what's the common thread between all these people? It was me. And so like, there comes a point where you either can choose to live in denial, or you can be unapologetically real with yourself, look in the mirror, which is really fucking painful, and be like, I'm perpetuating my own misery. What can I do to like move myself out? And the moment I did that, and it wasn't quick, it was years.
Right.
I look at it myself now and I'm like, holy shit, like I've moved 360. I don't claim things like depression and anxiety anymore, and I'm like living the best life that I can like right now. And that definitely doesn't mean it's perfect. It definitely doesn't mean I'm not struggling in different ways, but I'm definitely living a life that I didn't think was possible for myself.
Yeah. Being real is sometimes like the love that you really need,
Yeah.
because no one else is going to do it.
I think it's
for
the
you.
biggest act of self-love too.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
looking in the mirror. It's one of the most painful acts
Yeah.
of love that we can like do, but like it is like the biggest act of self-love, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to know, like, going back, I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing on here is totally up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you now just live so unapologetically, and it's part of your brand. It's one of the reasons too, like, why I gravitated towards you. Cause I'm like, there's just not enough people talking about that. And especially in an age where everything is so rose colored glasses.
Totally.
On social media, it was just so refreshing. I'd love to hear your journey towards that, and kind of what made you decide that this was going to be the legacy that you wanted to lead with your community.
No, yeah. I think like unapologetic, like being unapologetic is like about fully aligning with our authentic self. And I think like you can hear the word unapologetic and like think it means like being like almost like disrespectful or harsh. Like I don't mean it that way.
Right.
I think being like truly our unapologetic selves is about like fully aligning with our true authenticity. And a lot of times we're not aligned in our true authenticity, which is what makes us sick, like through depression, anxiety, whatever. Like I think that there can be things that happen in your childhood that you're not even responsible for that don't allow us to be like aligned in our authenticity because you're so confused. Like for me, like I grew up in a very chaotic home, like emotionally.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of the like stuff that was happening communication wise was like violating my conscience. Like a lot of the stuff happening in my house was, I felt like on a deep level, like not right, but like it was all I knew. And so there was this confusing back and forth that caused a lot of dis-ease, I'll say. That's like what my therapist like called it. Like it's like violating our conscience almost. So it causes like dis-ease and like makes us sick, like through depression, anxiety, because we're not aligning with like our true authenticity, which for me was to like be communicative in a healthy way, or like have peace, or like, I don't know, just like I knew what was right, and like the things that were happening in my house I knew were wrong and chaotic and crazy. So I think like it just perpetuated over time, obviously through different experiences and traumas as well as you get older. And then I start to like latch on to the way my parents and family and our dynamics of communication, I start like taking those and like using them in my own life, and I'm causing more chaos. And then that's violating my authenticity. And then I'm wondering like, why am I so sick? Like, why am I so chaotic? And it's, you know, it's just like this huge cycle. So I think for me, it got to a point where I was just like so anxious, so depressed. I was like so chaotic, like so like I'm trying, just like having flashbacks of me. Like I was so confrontational. I was just like so unhealthy.
Like wounded.
Yeah, I had no self-worth. I had no self-love. I was just a mess. So it got so bad, and I think I was just like, I was very suicidal. I was just a mess. And so I think like it got to a point where I did have, though, I feel this like deep knowing that like I wasn't meant for like this. Like I honestly, if we're being like real, like I think that's what kept me from like, you know, listening to the suicidal thoughts. Like I knew it wasn't right, and I knew I shouldn't have been feeling that way, and I knew that like I was meant for more. I had this like deep knowing, I think. And I've always been like very in tune, but I think I had to like quiet the voice for so long that it was making me sick. So I got to a point kind of in college, I was dating this guy and we broke up. And I think like, it's so funny. I look back at like, it was so devastating to me. It totally triggered like my suicidal thoughts. I got like, I had like a total mental episode, but I think it wasn't so much him. I think it was that I had attached like my sanity and peace to the relationship because I hadn't like healed. So like, it was like a good distraction. And then when it was gone, I like was back.
Like, oh, he's making me better. I'm my best self in this
relationship. And I really
It's
wasn't.
Like, no, girl.
No, I really wasn't my best self either. I think it was just like something to do. Like it kept my mind occupied because I was like trying to fix him. I was trying to like be in the relationship. So when it was gone, I had to like sit with myself again. And then it was too painful. But I think at that point I was like ready to like face myself. Like I felt like it was time. And honestly, like for lack of a better word, I just like, it couldn't get much worse. Like I wanted to die. So like either like go to therapy and it doesn't work and I am where I am, or like, you know, not to be morbid, but it was bad. So then I went, and I think I was just really open, and I think I like got to like be heard for the first time. And I think subconsciously I called how Han sees it because I was never able to just say how I saw it. Like I was never able to just like call things out. I never felt like I could be like my authentic self. I felt like my emotions were too much. And so how Han sees it kind of stemmed from this idea to, you know, unapologetically show like my, not just my fashion, but my lifestyle and my ideas and like what I thought about certain things. And I wanted to unapologetically talk about the mental health struggle like I was going through. So I kind of like started that in the midst of all of this, and then started going to therapy. And that's when I like, thank God for my therapist, but because she was like very much like a mother figure, like me, like yours too. But she like taught me about like violating your conscience. And like I got to learn about like the way like the things that happened in my childhood impacted me. And then once I learned those things, I think I was like empowered to actually put them into action. Like I saw the devastation that it was causing in my life, and I was empowered to like make different choices and master my mind in certain ways and question like the thoughts I had. And like, you know, this, we can get into the nitty gritties of all of this, but like, I just think it was this dedication I had to like be unapologetic, like finally just like be authentic, like live authentically and like be unapologetic about who I am and the things I want to do and the things that I know I should be doing as well.
Yeah. I relate to that a lot in a similar family situation where I just felt like I know in here, like what should be happening.
Yeah.
And what does feel aligned and like how a family unit should function.
Totally.
But yet everybody else is telling me that like all of this dysfunction is normal.
Totally.
So I totally get that. I was like, you just grew up feeling so voiceless that when you realize that life isn't just happening to you and you can make choices and you can have a voice, you're like, oh, it's fucking on.
Yeah. Well, and it's like a honeymoon, right? Like I had this honeymoon phase of like the whole unapologetic movement, I'll call it, within myself, where I was like, this is amazing. Like I've never felt like so good, you know, because you're like being heard and you're talking things out and you're like having all these release patterns and you're like, yes, like, you know, and you're aligning in it and you start to heal. But I think the real work starts in like moving past intellectualization and actually like putting it into action. And that's when things get really fucking hard. And I think like to your point, like it can feel like I think it gets really confusing, and I talked about it in like my season finale of season 2, but like you can feel on a deep level that like you're violating your conscience, that there are these desires and dreams you have for yourself that are not coming into fruition. But then when you try to make those decisions, or you try to make that like communication change, or you try to like get into the healthy relationship, or you try to go for the business, or you try to like not pop off at someone, like it feels like it's violating you in some way, even though you know it's not aligned with your authentic self. So you get really confused because you're like, oh, this feels incredibly uncomfortable. This feels like not what I'm supposed to do. This can't be what I'm supposed to do. It can't be this uncomfortable. But then you're perpetuating the same decisions and choices in your life. And then you're like, what the fuck? This seems so frustrating and hopeless. And I think the hardest part of healing and like being your unapologetic self is actually making the choices that feel foreign, though you know they're aligned with your authentic desires. It's like doing the hard thing now for your future self. And then I think the more times you do it, you can look and be like, okay, this feels incredibly uncomfortable right now, but like I did this last time and like look what happened and now I'm happy. So I need to do the thing that feels like I'm not supposed to do it, but I know I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And then the more times you do it, you're like, you're providing evidence for yourself so that you can like kind of like get more comfortable making the uncomfortable choice. But it's fucking hard being your most unapologetic self. It's really, really hard.
It is, because you have to retrain.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've experienced this so much in dating here recently.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, oh my God, I'm like in this place where I'm faced with a decision that I need to make, and I know the right one, but I'm just like, I can't make that choice, but I know that I have to.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard. I actually had to do this recently, like, because I feel like I've always been the person that, I mean, being like an empath 1, being the fixer 2, being the oldest daughter 3, being someone who like literally who just like wants to fix everything so that you don't have to like lose control.
Yeah.
Like being the person that like has to fight for love always. Like it's like painful and uncomfortable to get out of that place, because if you've been there your entire life, like it doesn't feel natural to like give up, quote unquote, on people. And so recently I kind of had to do this with someone like really close to me that I had like a really deep connection with. Like I had to be like, I can't do this anymore to myself, even though I know I could. Like I want to.
Yeah.
I want to keep like getting less than I deserve, and like I want to keep like, that's my natural state.
Right.
But if my truest authentic self wants to get married, wants to be in a healthy relationship, then I need to do the uncomfortable thing that feels like the thing I'm not normal with, which is leave and cut this off, even though I want to stay, so that my future self is like, oh shit, I'm so happy I did that. It's confusing though. It's confusing to even articulate.
Because it feels like you're starting back at ground zero. You're like, why? I feel like I'm taking a step back, but instead you're clearing the path for yourself to find somebody who's way more
Yeah.
aligned with what you want.
Or not even a step back though. It just feels like horrible. Like it
Yeah.
feels like so incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm used to this. Like I want this. Like I just want this to work out so that I don't have to go find something else, or I don't have to surrender to the unknown. Back to surrender. Like we don't want to surrender, especially for people who have like been in the place where they have to like be the fixer and deal with bullshit or like deal with mistreatment. Like you're so used to dealing with that you're like, I think I'm just going to stay here. It's like less painful. And it's the same thing with depression and anxiety. Like I think there's this narrative, and again, not to be like, you're like not a victim, but there's this victim mentality, or I'll say validation mentality. And I really struggled with this, where I almost felt like if I let go, or like of someone or something or some event, like if I let go and move on, then like who's going to validate it? Like who's going to validate that it happened?
Yeah.
Or like if I let go of this relationship, like who's going to fix this person? Or if I let go of the thing that's keeping me super depressed and anxious, like who's going to say that like I worked hard and that I deserve to be angry? And I think it just comes to a point where it's just like, who are you doing this for?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's this, I had someone on the podcast recently. I don't know if you guys have watched the show The Bear.
Love.
Absolutely.
Okay, I haven't. But she was talking about this scene, and it really resonated with me, where I guess he's just like talking about all this stuff, and then he's talking about like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and she looks at him and just goes, "Who's counting shoes?" And I think it's that feeling of like we're holding on so tightly to people or experiences or things that are keeping us in a perpetuation of misery cycle. And then we're like, I don't know. It's like, who is keeping track of this? Like, who are you trying to prove something to? Like, no one cares.
Right. Always being hyper vigilant and preparing for the worst. And it's like, well, girl, who's to say the worst is going to happen?
Or just being like, no, like if I like stop being angry, or if I like let go of this like depression and anxiety, then like who's going to validate that I had a horrible childhood? Who's going to validate that my parents were mean to me? Like who's going to validate? Like no one. I'm not trying to be a bitch, but like no one cares. Like we're not in a movie where like
It's true.
like
Say it all the time.
like you are the only person in control of your life completely. And if it's good or bad, we all can't control our circumstances. We all are given either a short, like people are given shorter sticks, but at the end of the day, like you are the only person that can move you forward, not anyone else.
Yeah.
And so why are we concerned with like validation or validating our like childhood realities or our current realities, or who's watching if we like leave people behind and like don't fix them? Like just because you're highly sensitive, empathetic, like trauma kid, like that doesn't give you an excuse to just like go fix everyone, be everyone's therapist, or pout, honestly.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's like when you are that person, you're focused so much on everyone around you that the more and more that you pour yourself into other people, you're becoming depleted as an individual, and you're becoming depleted as your personality starts to dwindle, because a lot of the time people are attracted, people who don't have that and don't have the ability to like share their light with others, they just steal it from other people.
Totally.
And so they're attracted to people like us who are highly sensitive. And
you have to learn to harness it.
Yeah, that's the part where we say it's like there are some choices. It doesn't have to be this grandiose act of like I'm climbing the stairs in Rocky, and I'm like telling everybody I'm done. Like, it's really small daily choices, I think, that we're talking about here. Like, I don't know the timelines and how they're gonna add up, but you guys should go listen to us on Hands Pod, because we're doing a fun little swap where we talk about. I had a moment where I looked in the mirror and I didn't know who I was looking at anymore, and I had to make a choice. So it's like those are the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, there are things in our lives that are going to happen to us that we're like, okay, wasn't expecting that.
Right.
But how long do you stay in the thing you didn't expect?
Yeah. I say it all the time, actually, because I think what I'm saying can sound harsh, but it's just the truth. Like, I've tried, as someone who's very highly empathetic and way too emotionally invested in everyone around me and trying to control everyone and fix everyone and make sure like everyone's moving forward. I'm trying to get better, and I feel like I've like finally am doing a better job of like having empathy, like continuing to have empathy, but not having sympathy. Like there's like a boundary, and me and my best friend say it all the time. Like I have empathy, but I don't have sympathy. And it comes to a point where you have to like, you can still have empathy, but you can't have sympathy anymore. And if that means like moving forward, especially in relationships, like you kind of have to you kind of have to do that. You
Yeah.
know, got to put boundaries up, which is hard for yourself.
Totally. Yeah. Because it's like the sympathy doesn't really help the person.
No,
Doesn't
no.
help you. It doesn't help the person.
And to your point, like at what point are you just like depleted and anxious and upset because you're letting everyone's choices around you like affect you too much, or the past affect you too much? So I think I'm really trying to, that's like been like the biggest part of my healing journey and kind of like getting and becoming my fully unapologetic self. And it's still a work in progress. I'm not perfect. I mess up all the time, but I don't consider mastering perfection. I consider it like living your life a way you want to and that you're proud of.
Yeah. I think to your point, and just round out this portion so nicely, I think that when you take the mirror, like looking in the mirror moment, and you are real with yourself and you give yourself that tough love, I think that's like when it clicks. At least for me, like that's when it clicked, when I could just sit here and be like, you know what, Christina, you did that and it was really shitty, or you're perpetuating your own misery and this is how.
Yeah.
And this is why all these friends are walking out of your life, or fill in the blank of whatever it is. It's like, is the depression painful? Is the anxiety overwhelming sometimes? Yes. I don't want to say that those things are not valid, but I think that what we're all trying to express is that once you have that moment with yourself and you check in, that's when you can move forward. And that's where you start to find like the freedom and the like, I can take a breath and this isn't my identity and it's not the end of the world and like I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, I caught myself a lot of times. Like I look back in hindsight and I like look back at these moments like where I was like in these chaotic situations that were like probably my fault. And I like look back and I remember like the root of that like anger and sadness and frustration, like being like, but I had to go through this type of vibe. And like now, I mean, when I face the mirror, it's like kind of like my parents aren't here. Like I am not a child in a house anymore. Again, to our point, like you're perpetuating your own misery, you're perpetuating your own situation. There's no one here that is like doing this
Forcing
stuff
your
anymore.
hand.
Yeah. It's like, it's mine now. So I think that's what it is. It's that being your unapologetic self is about like taking control of your life, looking in the mirror. Like that is like moving into your most unapologetic self.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we love it so much. We can continue having this conversation
Forever.
over and over again because there's so much to always say. We did want to end on a little bit of a fun question.
Oh yeah, let's lighten things up.
Yeah.
I have to do this in my life where I'll meet with
Fashion,
I'll like meet with random people and then I'm like talking about childhood shit. It gets so fucking deep. The suicide thing always pops up for me. Even at my dinner,
Yeah.
I was like giving my toast and I was like, everyone's filming me. I shouldn't use the S word. I'll say like really bad place. Like I just get so too deep sometimes and so unapologetic. And then I'm like, okay, how can I light things up?
Yeah.
Now we'll do
Right.
something fun.
That's me.
But that's my personality.
Yeah, my TikTok bio is overshare in recovery.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
literally am oversharing every single moment of my life. But the fun question we got from one of our dear friends and listeners is a fun fashion question. So she
Ooh, yay.
asked, what are your tips and or alternatives to fast fashion and sustainable brands that don't use plastic as like the biggest?
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm like even qualified to answer this question, but I'm going to give my honest first reaction.
Yeah.
So I'm a big vintage shopper. Like I love designer vintage. Designer is not like, it's so expensive and it's not available or attainable for everyone. But I will say like a coat at Zara is like $200 and these Gucci mules that I'm wearing right now were also $200 from the Real Real.
Right.
And so I love the Real Real because it's like designer stuff that is like been pre-loved and it's, you know, it's not cheap. It's nice quality stuff, but it's going to last forever. And it's the same price as like a fast fashion coat or shoe from Zara, but it's like from a place that, you know, sells and resells like designer items. So I'm a big real gal. You just have to like filter low to high, like check the brands you like and like just scout for a couple hours and you will find like amazing things. I love the men's Goodwill section for blazers.
Yes.
Best blazers ever. I'm actually not wearing one today from Goodwill, but like half of my collection's from the men's Goodwill section. They have like amazing shoulder pad structured blazers. I'm trying to think of like another not fast fashion brand that I really like. I love the Frankie shop. They're not super affordable, but their pieces last forever. So if you like buy one blazer from them, it'll last forever.
So like investing in
Yeah, but
staple
I'm an
pieces.
investor for sure. I don't buy trend items like at all unless I really think they're gonna last forever. Like I just think it's not worth it. And then I think like you have to pick like really pick pieces that are going to stay in your like capsule wardrobe. So like a really nice pair of denim, like a really good black trouser, I think a crisp white t-shirt, a black blazer, and then a nice black pump. Like that's the
And
staples.
if you can sustainably source those,
And if you
Right.
can
that's
do
the way
it,
to go. Yeah.
let me know.
We're so tired of fast fashion. It's like ASOS here and the Zara.
Yeah, I
there,
can't
and
do it.
H&M's there, and then where does it all end up? Back at the freaking Goodwill. We saw so many Forever 21 shirts when we were thrifting the other day.
Yeah, I can't do that.
We're just like, what? Like,
Why would I buy it here at Goodwill when I can get it at Forever 21 for the same price?
Well, and like I would challenge people who like shop like Zara and all of that. And you know, I don't judge. Like I'm not the best at
We're not
sustainable
perfect.
practice. But I will say like I would challenge people to look at like how much money they've spent at Zara over a year time and then like look at the number. And when you're like telling me like, yeah, but I don't want to spend on expensive stuff like on the Real or at Frankie Shop or whatever. But it's like, look at the
Right.
total you've spent on fast fashion and it's probably all ended up like shrunken in a dryer and at Buffalo Exchange
Snagged, ripped.
or you're like over it. So I
Yeah.
think just like making smart choices when you're shopping is the way you can be sustainable. Like you can
said they're all plastic.
or like shop fast fashion if you want, but be smart about it. Like pick pieces that you actually know you're not going to like wear twice and throw out. Like actually be smart about. I think we buy too quickly.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
We're very much give me right now consumers. So we're trying to, I think, take a huge step back from that, especially in the economy that we're in.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Another
to
conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to shift into more of quality than volume. I used to be like, well, look at how much I got.
Yeah.
For $300 versus like this item or maybe two items that I got for $300 is going to be in my closet for the next decade.
Totally. I don't feel bad about spending money anymore when one, I've worked really hard for it, but two, it's pieces that I know I love and I'm going to wear for years. Like I do not feel bad about it anymore. What I do feel bad about is when I spend a shit ton of money on things like Zara because I'm like, I'm going to literally have to dry clean this shirt if I want it to stay okay because it will like shrink in the wash and then I'm
Exactly.
gonna like throw it out in a year. That's what makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, smart choices and sustainable choices when you can.
In men's Goodwill section it.
Men's Goodwill
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was so fun. As always, we
I
can
know.
keep yapping. the
I
way we do.
know.
But really quickly, wanted to give you a second to tell everyone where they can find you on social.
Yes. Yeah. Come find me at How Han Sees It for fashion content, honestly, like beauty, wellness, lifestyle. I share everything there at How Han Sees It. That's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, literally everywhere. Podcast is on Spotify and Apple, How I See It, and then How I See It Pod on Instagram. You'll be able to hear Danny and Christina's episode on How I See It. I think they'll link their episode probably in the description. I'll link, this one in mine. But give it a listen. They share their stories. And yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, and
Thank
like
you.
Danny said, if you haven't listened to the season 2 finale of How I See It, please listen to it. I've honestly listened to it twice.
Oh my God,
I
that makes me
listened
so
to it
happy.
once on a drive. I was like driving through like Palm Springs. I'm like, oh, this is such a good setting for this. So I turned it on. And then I like went back to take notes for the podcast. I'm like, oh, I want to ask her this and this and this. So definitely give it a listen. I love
Thank
just
you.
how honest Hannah is on her podcast. So definitely
It's a
add that
deep
to your
one
rotation.
for
It
sure.
is, yeah.
It's a little intense. I'm not gonna lie, but that's me, and so it's half fashion, half intense.
Yeah.
Not that episode, but me. Me in a
That episode
nutshell.
is intense.
Someone asked me the other day. They're like, "How are you successful running platforms where it's like half fashion, half mental health? Like, how does that work?"
Right.
And I was literally like, because it's my most like that is who I am.
It's me.
It's literally who I am, and that's the only reason why it works.
Yeah,
It's
people
my
love-
most.
People love to see people telling the truth.
Yeah, it's my most unapologetic self, a lover of fashion and a deep existential thinker and healer, or
And thanks
someone
for
who wants
doing
healing.
that because I feel like we need more
Aw,
of that.
yeah.
Custody for both, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for tuning in to this week's EA meeting.
If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify. We'd love to hear from you.
You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Empaths and On Pod.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts or subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell so you're the first to know when we release a new episode.
We'll meet you back here on the Green Velvet Couch next time.
Bye, feelers!